What's up, everybody? I'm talking about risk. The scary stuff, the big, the bad, the ugly. Not how to get rid of it, because you can't get rid of risk, so just wipe that out of your mind. But how to manage it. Managing risk is the key part to all capital allocators, all investors, all entrepreneurs. There's one thing that we all want to avoid, and that is the risk of ruin. That means you're done. It's over. You're bankrupt. A lot of people, I think, confuse risk, and they believe that investing, entrepreneurship, is for some reason way more risky than just going about your normal life. I don't at all see it that way, mainly because you are investing. You own something. You're invested in the economy in which you live in. If you're in the United States, you are invested in the economy. You're a part of it. You have a job. You've invested in that company. And trust me, you're going to go before the shareholders do. So that risk is very real to you. Whether you put your money into it or not, that is 100% your income. So I actually think it's riskier than investing in entrepreneurship. That's actually probably a topic for a whole nother video. The point of this video is to go over localized versus global risk. How to manage risk, particularly when investing in self-storage. Now, this comes down to a lot about like timing markets, which I do not do. And this is really important for you to understand because nobody does it. If they say they do, they don't. We take key indicators and we look at market performance and we try to analyze where our returns might go. I don't predict market fluctuations. My money usually does, though. What do I mean by that? That could be confusing, but let me say it this way. In 2000, from really 2006, 7, 8, we weren't invested in the real estate market. Now, it was not because we knew of some impending doom coming up. No, we just couldn't make any money at it because prices were so high. So we just didn't do it. That very simple statement has been how I've taken on risk all the time. I need a margin of safety. As in, my money needs to make good enough money for me to do it. And it needs to be based on cash flow. Generally, if it's cash flowing at a big enough margin, good times, bad times, it doesn't matter, I'll be okay. And if I can't get a good return on my money, I just don't do it. Generally speaking, when you can't do it, it means assets are priced too high. So inherently, they're going to come down. Now, everybody asks, is now a good time to be in the self-storage game? Everybody wants in it, right? If you're listening to this video, if you're watching this video, you want to learn more about self-storage. I think self-storage is the greatest commercial asset for any individual to get started in real estate today. Does that mean we're at the top or bottom of a cycle? No, in fact, we could be depending on where you're at on both. Money is cheap. Deals are scarce and things are expensive. I'm still buying and I'm still building. And that really is the foundation of this conversation and risk. Why? Why, if I think things are so expensive, why am I still buying? Why am I still building? There is a global risk and a micro risk. Right now, we are obsessed with the micro, the individual deal and its exact radius in which that deal is around. Because a good deal today is a good deal tomorrow and is a good deal forever. So if I can get a great cash flowing deal today, whether the market turns, goes south or whatnot, I'll ride it out. And in 10 years, it'll be fine. My investing strategy is not predicated on flipping. It is not speculation. And inherently, that's how I manage risk. Everyone's different and everyone can do this differently. If your investing strategy in self-storage is to develop and flip, to CO, and it has nothing to do with operations and nothing to cash flow, you may want to think a lot more differently about this conversation. You may really, really care what the Fed has to say day to day. With that said, though, I just don't think any of us can predict markets. I think we fundamentally know when we're not getting good return, and we know when individual deals are bad. Instead of focusing on the future markets that you can't predict, we focus internally. How do I make this one deal awesome? I want it to be a great deal when I buy it. But in a year or 2 year, I just want it to be amazing. And that's what we focus on. I look at underperforming assets and how do I increase them. So what may be expensive to one person is actually cheap to me. If I can do that, I can manage the risk of things that I can't control. I think of that as the macro. There's all these things going on in the world. I have no idea if we're going to go to war. I have no idea what president elections will do. And I cannot control how many bad assets the Fed's buying and how much free money they give to dumb people. I can't control any of that. All I control is the individual deals that I'm doing. And two, historically speaking, just stepping out of the game because you think that the economy or the government's doing something wrong or bad or you don't agree with is a really bad play, because universally 50% of the world thinks that their government or economy or something is bad at any given time. So that's just never worked out. Markets always tend to go up. And if they don't, we have a lot less problems. And I'm not really going to care about my total return on a storage facility if the United States government and our economy is gone. It just won't matter. So that's how I avoid that overall arching risk of nuclear attacks or anything else like that. It's irrelevant because the banks won't exist either. So with that said, how do you analyze and manage risk? The first thing that you need to do when looking localized, that's what it is two sides. You have the deal side, then you have the market side. The deal side is a really, really important one, because the deal side is making sure that you're getting right information to accurately assess the potential and risk of that deal. Lots of times, the risk that you may buy is you may be buying it from a really good operator to where you actually don't have their skill set. And by you taking over that asset, it will perform worse with you as the operator. That is a risk inherent to you, which you need to be aware of and be able to analyze. Can you perform it? If you're getting started in self-storage and you go buy an Extra Space Storage, which is a publicly traded REIT, the second largest one, lots of technology, very good operator, and 2 years later, it's not performing as well as it was when you bought it, yeah, that's a no-brainer, right? Now, if you go buy it from a mom and pop that does no kind of investing in marketing or anything else, you may say the odds of it performing at least the same are really good. That was how we started out. I said, these operators performing it at this, I think I could do better. And by do better, very little. I think I can collect rent. I think I can market it, and maybe I could put some money into it to make it look a little better. Third one, maybe. We really focused on operations. Answer the phone, answer emails, and make sure people pay their rent. That was as complicated as we got it. And so when we went and looked for assets, I looked for people that were failing at those things. And then we would buy them, we'd improve their operations. But all of those fundamental, those micros, when you're looking at the risk of the individual facility, right? You have lots of things that you need to look at as far as when you're buying it, make sure all the records, you got to work with the bank to make sure everything's up front. You actually have the paperwork, all of that. There's a whole list of things that your bank's going to require, and you're going to have to do a title that will help you cover that. But you need to make sure you're working on that. Now, as far as analyzing the deal logos, when I'm looking at the market, I'm much more concerned about that. Why? The market is out of my control. So I can look at that operator, okay? So if I'm looking at this small storage facility, it has 100 units. I can say 20 of these units aren't paying on time. It's not even up to market standards, right? I can lift rates. I can make these 20 people pay. I can actually put up a website and maybe pick up the phone, and we could immediately improve revenue by 20% just by doing those little things. That's a very clear upside, and the risk of not doing anything is already clear because this operator is already not doing anything. So my downside, I think, is known. But the market, that has to do with other than me. So there's that risk that comes in. What if somebody builds next to me? What if the market gets overbuilt and supply tanks? This is really important to look at. You need to understand current demand and competition, as well as future demand and competition. How are you, when you buy from this person, going to compete in this market? Also, why are they selling? Are they selling because they know something you don't know? Are they selling because somebody's building 200,000 square feet next to them? You want to find all of that out. You want to make sure that there's good, healthy supply and demand so that the revenue that you're buying that facility from will continue forward. Once again, as I talk through a bunch of these things that I'm looking at, it's about managing, not getting rid of risks. All you're doing is uncovering future threats and seeing if you can overcome them. I look at land and I work with the planning and zoning departments, and we try to find out which areas are being built. Okay, so new growth both in population, demographics, but also I really want to see new growth as in total supply of the product that I have. If I have a lot of 10 by 10s, is somebody else going to build a lot of 10 by 10s? And how will that affect the future of this individual market? I cannot control if other people come and build. I could absolutely buy it. 2 years later, somebody else could build. But by analyzing the market, it gives me a snapshot, and I can also see the pipeline of deals, because real estate takes time, right? You just don't snap your fingers and build a storage facility. It can take some time. So it gives me a runway to see. Usually you have a clear runway of one busy season. That's important to understand. So risk. There's the unavoidable, the all up, blowing up, right, and everything goes south. You don't worry about, you can't control. Out of the items that you can control, it's about controlling the knowledge to make better decisions. Look very, very micro. See what the cost of your money is, what you're purchasing at it, what's the upside, what's your downside personally, and the downside of that facility. Is it going to sink into the mud? You need to look at those things with real estate. The individual market, who's doing what? Competitors. How are you going to compete? Focus on micro and manage risks that way. Improve yourself, improve your operations, improve your network, and improve the people that can help around you. Make sure that that product is successful for you, your investors, your banking partner, and whoever else you are. Just remember, manage your risk.